Huh?
Oh, that's cute. Make a mess.
Yes, I did.
Whoops, that didn't sound right. We'll call this meeting to order. Would everyone please rise for the invocation? And Pastor Doug Pratt, would you please lead us?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It is my pleasure to lead us in prayer, and I thank all of you City Council members for your great service to us. May I please pray for you. Lord, as we gather this morning, the start of a meeting and the start of a new day, we offer thanks to you. We acknowledge that we often forget about the good things because we focus on the problems and the needs, but we do pause to say, Lord, you've blessed us in many ways, not least of which is to be able to live in this beautiful part of creation, to be able to live in a free nation, and to be able to enjoy all the blessings of home and family and community and health and everything else that enriches our lives. Now, as this meeting begins, we pray that you will guide and direct our mayor and our council, that you will give them wisdom, grant them the ability to hear well, to understand, to think wisely and critically about the issues that face us all. We pray that our community might continue to grow into being a wonderful place to live. We pray that you will bless this time, this meeting, and God bless America, we pray as well. I ask this in the name of the God whom I love and serve. Amen.
Amen.
Councilman Slaka, could you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Yes, sir. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, roll call, please.
Councilman McIntosh?
Here.
Councilwoman Martin?
Here.
Councilman Slakta?
Aye. Here.
Mayor Nelson?
Here.
Councilman Simmons? Councilman Gibson?
Here.
Councilman Longcart?
Here.
All right, good morning, everyone.
Good morning, Mayor.
I guess that's the best we can do. I'm not going to force anything on anybody. It's all right. It's morning. Okay, we are at proclamations and presentations, and at this time, could we have an update by the Bonita Springs Fire Control and Rescue District by Chief Joe Daigle, who is not here? Hey, would you? You could do it for him, right? Would you like to do it? Okay, yeah.
You got the gun.
Probably that's not going to happen for a while. So let's just go ahead and blow on past that right there, and we will go on to the consent agenda. And council, please look at the consent agenda really carefully. We have items A through I. Carefully look at that, and if there's anything you'd like to have pulled, that would be fine. And if not, I will entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
To approve,
A
just like Bill
second.
said. We have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Martin?
Aye.
Councilman Slakta?
Aye.
Mayor Nelson?
All right.
Councilman Gibson?
Aye.
Councilman Longcart?
Aye.
Councilman McIntosh?
Aye.
And strangely as it seems, look at now we can go to public comment. Darn it. Sorry about that. I'm new at this. We'll have public comment at this time. Anyone wishing to speak to any city item, please come forward. Apologize for missing that first one.
With the title block, do the stuff, and then I'll...
Yeah, come on up.
Good morning, Deborah McLean, publisher of the Banana Peel. I'm here today for myself, but I'd like to read into the record a letter I got from Linda Schwartz. Her mother just passed, and she's busy taking care of loose ends with her sister. So she writes, and this is Linda Schwartz, who helped with Spring Creek and lives in Cedar Creek and continues to be involved and active civically here in town. There is no benefit to current Bonita Springs residential property owners to allow development in the DRGR. More housing supplies there equals less demand for existing houses, comma, the basic law of economics, RE supply and demand. So why are those of us who oppose development so maligned when it is clearly not in our best interests, unless we have financial ties with the parties listed below? The only beneficiaries to the DRGR development are the landowners, who have no vested rights other than those already granted under current statute, the developers, the builders, and the realtors. Deb, you have a name for this. Vertical market? Question mark. City staff management may benefit from higher salaries based on the size of the city. Is that part of their pro-development agenda? There will be significant costs incurred if building allowed if building is allowed in DRGR, including road expansion, need to dig further into aquifer for drinking water, and overall infrastructure costs, not all of which will be underwritten by developers as they suggest. There's a note to me, but I'm skipping it. If City Council agrees not change development rights in the DRGR, city staff and city consultants should not be allowed to waste their time processing development orders. They should not be subject to implied or veiled threats regarding job security, but rather than efforts redirected to strengthening the core of the city. No more backroom dealing with developers and landowners. Nationwide polls show that young professionals are seeking urban environments which are walkable, not the urban sprawl that will result from DRGR development. Submitted by Linda Schwartz. I'll speak later. That was enough.
Thank you very much. Anyone else this time, please come forward. Hello.
Good morning, Kathy McGrath for the record. I'd like to speak on the DRGR also. The lines were drawn in the 80s by the county commissioners who at that time didn't have all the evidence that studies have shown now. And I keep hearing these buzzwords. One thing is sprawl. Now, if you took a map of Bonita Springs and put a dot in about the center of it and went west to east, the distance from that dot to the coastline and to Bonita Grand is about the same. I don't consider that sprawl. What I would consider sprawl, and all due respect to people who live out there, is if you look at all the development that's on the south side of Bonita Beach Road, which extends out to our county line. Now, Manna Christian was not a part of Bonita Springs. Now, the flood insurance program, and I'm told that our local commissioner, Mr. Larry Kiger, was instrumental in helping keep the flood insurance rates down. But I also want to thank the city for the projects they did, and for Matt Feeney and his crew getting them done. I think I've mentioned once before, my flood insurance, because it's called community rating structure, I believe, I had an $842 discount because of these projects. So it was still expensive, but it was good. All right, sheet flow. Flood insurance has designated 4 areas of repetitive loss issues in Bonita, and none of them are east of I-75. The one was the sheet flow, and that was Quinn. The state streets, rainfall, Imperial Shores Boulevard and Tarpon rainfall, and of course, Hickory Island from storm surge. There are no issues of flooding of repetitive losses east of I-75. And the recommendations that I've heard of buying property to store water, there's no way you can store water from sheet flow. The high school. I'm very much in favor of the high school, and I think it's going to be up to the school board, but I feel the location off Tower Road is perfect. The YMCA is there. Bonita Nature Place is there. Remember, this is not pristine property. Citrus Park is there. It's been diked and ditched and used. It has septic tanks and well fields. And as far as improving roads, we have to open our eyes. Logan Boulevard is going to come to Bonita Beach Road. It is. And whether you decide to have any development out there, it's still the road, Bonita Grand, East Bonita, and Terry Street are going to have to be improved. And guess who's going to have to pay for it? Us. Unless we have responsible development, you allow it in the DRGR. Bonita Springs Utilities is not running out of water. They're fully capable and willing to put in the wastewater and the water for us. The developers would then have to pay the impact fees to help us construct the roads. So let's keep an open mind. I know there's a lot of very influential people here in Bonita, both politically and money. And they use scare tactics and support the DRGR. Not that they care about it, they just don't want any more people coming to use our beaches and our facilities here. So I appreciate you giving me the chance to say this. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else this time, please come forward.
Good morning.
Hello.
Carolyn Gallagher from Cedar Creek. I wanted to speak on both the well field protection and also a little bit on the DRGR. First would be DRGR. And I do commend the city for supporting the Water Task Force, and that recently provided all the recommendations to you. I ask that the city elevate the recommendations for the hydrology data collection and acquisition of a modeling tool over all of the other recommendations. I believe that using the hydrology data in the model will allow planners to evaluate all the other recommendations, prioritize them, and most likely allow the modelers to evaluate density changes along with those water projects. Modeling our own data should also be useful for defining the area for the Wellfield Protection Ordinance. During this collection and modeling process, it would be wise to continue the moratorium on the comp plan changes for at least 2 additional years, the time it takes to gather data, model, prioritize, and perhaps evaluate a few of the finished products or projects. Another couple of years is a small request, not only to get the water right, but to learn if the but to learn by modeling if the city should allow development, where, and what type. So please say yes to continuing the moratorium 2 years, or at least considering it. Now, the second thing is the wellfield protection. And I had just a few comments first. I believe a stringent well protection plan is needed, especially in the DRGR, because it's an aquifer recharge area. Remember the Rawls report. The figures in the Johnson report, this Johnson report, show large areas of the land being within the protection zones for both the lower Tamiami and the upper Floridam and the lower Hawthorne aquifers. And we should keep those areas as they are. The city should safeguard all the wells in the DRGR from contamination. BSU serves most of the residents of Bonita and some in unincorporated Lee County, but there are also 300 people, I said 300, it's really more like 3,000, using the Citrus Park system and still other private wells throughout the DRGR. If contaminants are allowed there, these shallow wells can become unsafe. The green sheet says that other modeling in the DRGR may be required to commence preparing for an ordinance. The 2010 Collier County Well report says accurate knowledge of groundwater flow direction and recharge characteristics is extremely important when attempting to predict groundwater movement. I believe we can do double duty if the city supports the gathering of hydrology and groundwater data as proposed by the Water Task Force, and to use it to model the scenarios for flood mitigation and also wellfield protection. The Collier Wellfield Protection Report has an additional fifth layer of protection, 20 years, not just the 6-month, 1 year, 5 years, 10 years. And I was curious, why doesn't Bonita? And the Comp Plan Policy 1.3 says protect the city's groundwater supplies from those activities having the potential for depleting and degrading those supplies. The data used by Johnson can't tell us how much pollution could be in the DRGR, which comes from schools, homes, stores, bus depots, etc. And we shouldn't be too lax with our projections. And the other thing, and I'm going to end here in a second, is that I do have some questions on the wellfield report that Johnson submitted today. And I'm hoping that we will have an opportunity maybe tomorrow or even today to discuss some of the questions that I have and other people in the audience may have. And I'm going to leave it here. I actually brought a definition of sprawl. So if anybody's interested, I could read it. Shake your head yes or no.
I'm sure we're going to have plenty of time to talk about sprawl, but thank you very much.
Okay, so don't read it or do read it. It's this long.
But it's fine. We'll give you another opportunity. How about that? All right.
Very well.
Thank
Thanks.
you very
Bye-bye.
much.
This time I'm speaking on my own behalf. Deborah McLean.
and we'll do it this time, but next time everybody gets one turn. Doesn't matter who you're talking
I spoke
for.
to John Gucciaro, and he said that
I know,
when you
but
read
he doesn't
someone
run the
else,
meeting. I do. But
Okay.
what we're going to do, because there would be no end to how many people. I'm speaking for 5 people today. So,
Okay.
but go ahead.
Well, thank you so much.
It's my pleasure.
Deborah McLean, publisher of the Banana Peel. I really hate it to see people who get emotionally upset and are fed quasi-false science and misinformation. I prefer to deal in facts on the DRGR. The science and the reports are out there. They have been read and the information delineated and presented and not glossed over with a pro-development, pro-impact position. Development does not pay for itself. Sprawl is bad for us. We need to concentrate on Old 41 and Bonita Beach Road and New 41. That is where we will have more density, but not east of I-75, and no high school in the wetlands. There are sites inside the city. We now all agree we need a high school, but we don't need it in the wetlands. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else this time? Please come forward.
Alex Grant, 11851 East Terry Street. When I was on the city council 2004, 2008, I was always voting against development, overdevelopment on the Bonita Beach Road east of the Worthington area. And of course, I was always outvoted by other members on the city council. So that's why we have all the development on that south side of Bonita Beach Road over my objections. And the reason I objected was because of my education on the soils. I knew there were hydric soils out there. They're still out there. 50% at least of the DR-GR area has hydric soils on there. They're about 10 feet deep, and you're going to have problems with that. Whatever construction you do, because the water has to, it's like a sponge there. It accumulates the water, and then the water moves uphill. Now, that's the facts I gave before to the previous consultant, a paper about the hydric soils, and that was not included in the report that he gave you for the final, I think it was, what was the last consultant that talked to you about the DR-GR area. That's all I have to say.
Thank you very much. Anyone else this time? Please come forward. There we go.
Good morning. For the record,
Hello.
I'm Dennis Gilkey at 27850 Riverwalk Way in Bonita Springs. I'm going to hand out something for the record. You've received most of this already, but what I just would like to point out is some of the things that I had already recommended, that as far as the comp plan process, and also some of the benefits that development and increased density can accrue to the overall city through development and additional density in the DR-GR. But basically, the tax base increase in fees, but also transportation, water and environmental improvements, yes, as well as quality of life improvements, things such as what we have out there now with the YMCA potential school, whether it's high school, middle school. I think that was originally going to be an elementary school on that site. But the process is basically to be stewards of the environment, be stewards of the water resources, but also move forward in a deliberate and a prudent manner. And either the landowners should be able to do that or the city initiate these changes. But the data analysis, ordinances, the comp plan process, all of that is probably a 2-year process anyway. So this is not a fire drill. It's not saying you should drop what you're doing and do this and nothing else. This is a deliberate process that most governments would do, especially within the city limits that you have. This is not sprawl. This is not leapfrog development. This is systematic, deliberate development allowance that would provide for specific and good benefits to the city in several different fronts. And so I appreciate your time. The front page, though, that I just passed out, everything else in there you've already seen. The front page is just summarizing the 34 recommendations of the task force. We're not going to talk about that today. That's tomorrow. But how that might integrate with the next steps, including ordinances, including comp plan amendment issues, as well as data and analysis issues. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else this time? Please come forward. Seeing none, we'll go ahead excuse me, and proceed. Audrey, we are to first readings and public hearing of the following ordinance.
And that's correct. And it's a, let me do the reading. This is a City of Bonita Springs private stormwater conveyance maintenance ordinance creating an ordinance to address unmanaged growth of vegetation within stormwater conveyance systems, providing findings, short title, applicability, definitions, declaration of public nuisance, prohibited conditions, and enforcement, providing for conflict, inclusion in code, severability, and providing for an effective date. This is the first reading. I reviewed the affidavit of publication, and it is legally sufficient. The second reading of the ordinance and public hearing will be taken at February 4th, 2015, in these chambers, beginning at 5:30 p.m. If you have any questions as to the draft, Matt Feeney from Public Works can explain the ordinance to you.
Mr. Mayor, if I
Yes,
might, just
go
if
ahead.
we could just allow Matt to give the council a brief indication as to what this ordinance is.
Matt's like Jello. There's always room for Matt. How you like that, Matt? That's pretty cool, huh?
That's a new one.
Hey,
City Manager,
hey,
Matt Feeney.
Matt, that's gonna stick, buddy. Just like Jello.
My name's Matt
Anyway.
Feeney, Public Works Director.
Former acting city manager for one day.
That's nice. Go for it, Matt.
No, and just to give you a brief background on this ordinance, we have some private stormwater conveyance systems that predated the South Florida Water Management District permitting process, or are managed in a manner that cause ill effects to our existing system. When a pond or a conveyance is allowed to get overgrown, it restricts the flow of water, which in turn can cause local and isolated flooding in our system. But additionally, we've experienced some places where we get large algal blooms, and the Imperial River has been identified as impaired for dissolved oxygen. And so when you get a large amount of plant material or algal material that blooms and then dies off, it rots, and the things that make it rot in the body of water consume oxygen. So that contributes to the impairment of our already impaired river. So it's really not in our best interest to have that kind of overgrowth, because it only contributes to the problem that we have with the river, which is challenging enough for us to try and correct the waters. So this we look at as a tool to be used to prevent that situation, because what we found is in these older systems that are maybe a little less managed, by the time you get to an overgrowth, we have very little in our toolbox to encourage the private property owners to take corrective action. So this would be something that we could use to work with those owners so that we do the right thing and we prevent the excess nutrients coming into our system and further impairing the Imperial River.
Okay, good. Thank you very much. Any questions for Matt? All right, thanks a lot, Matt. Council, what's your pleasure?
You got public hearing?
Oh, is there a public hearing for this?
No,
No?
no, not,
I'll go ahead and make the motion then
not
to
a
move
land
it.
use.
First reading. Okay.
Let it be written that Steve just gave me bad advice over here.
Getting bad advice.
Put that in the minutes. No, I'm just kidding. Council, what's your pleasure?
I made the motion already.
It does?
On the
On the green
on the
sheet?
sheet. No, on the agenda.
Yeah, it says and public hearing.
Okay, that was a clerk mistake, but we'll be happy. The problem is you can have public comment, but
Okay, all right, all right.
made
All
the
right.
motion.
Here, I got a
Comment.
cure for this. Anyone wishing to speak to this matter at this time, please come forward.
There we go.
Didn't think so.
I made the
Council, what's your
motion.
pleasure? You make a motion
I
to
already did,
approve,
yep.
to send to a second
Yes.
reading. Is there a second?
Mhm.
Is there a second?
I'll say.
There's a second by Steve. Any other discussion? Roll call.
Councilman Slakta.
Aye.
Mayor Nelson.
Aye.
Councilman Simmons.
Aye.
Councilman Gibson.
Aye.
Councilman Longcart.
Aye.
Councilman McIntosh.
Aye.
Councilwoman Martin.
aye,
Very good. Did you have anything else there on that item? No?
not on
All right,
stormwater.
good deal. Thank you. And strangely enough, we're to the city attorney's report.
Now I have things.
Ah.
The first item is, at your last meeting, I was asked to bring back a flag protocol discussion for council. You see before you the copy from the state of Florida flag protocol. It does have the following, you can see on page 2, national and state flag policy. It does include Florida law enforcement officers, firefighters, selected state and local officials, along with members of armed forces, both in their hometown as well as in their place of employment. You are to go to half-mast. I think it's a very thorough flag protocol. I also think that if we tried to draft a flag protocol on national and state flags, the American flag and the state of Florida flag, it would conflict, and I did confirm that with Ben Gibson at the Governor's Council who handles flag protocol. The Governor's office also, the flag protocol also has a relief mechanism. So if we wanted to do a half-mast for somebody that would not fall under it, we could request, and they do grant that from time to time.
Okay. Any questions for Audrey on this? All right. So everybody good with following the state federal protocols? Thank you very much for that. What else you got on, let's see, item B?
Item B is just discussion real quick on density reduction groundwater resource, the moratorium. As a reminder, it did expire. Staff is processing, and the recommendation is to go concurrently with the processing. As mentioned by one of the speakers, it does, comprehensive plan amendments aren't quick. The staff has to continue processing. We're not going to do any delays. I see the applicant in the audience, but it does go to the LPA. The LPA will have, I'm sure, will have questions and will properly vet it out. So I think this is something that concurrently can go through the process together. I just wanted to make sure council knew there is serious consequences if you did try to extend or create a new moratorium.
Okay. Council, do you have any questions on this matter? No? Good. All right. And item C.
Item C, I recently received the December 18th, 2014 Wellfield Protection Modeling Study. Now, this is a actual PG study, I guess professional hydrogeologist does this type of study. I don't know why they did not do the Collier 20 years. I was looking to see if Kim Hoskins was in the audience, and that could be something BSU did not ask it. I don't know. And that's a great question. The question before council today is just to give us direction to work with Kim Hoskins at BSU to come back and create a new ordinance to update it significantly following the Lee County model with the water supply.
Council, what's your pleasure? Would you like to give instructions to staff to go ahead and proceed? Oh, go ahead.
Yes, with a comment. I'd like to say that I think that given our location at the end of the food chain, if you would allow me to say, that I would like to see our ordinance come in as being as strict as possible. Maybe we have to set a little higher bar or a little higher standard, and I think that that's prudent to do. We have to look out for the future. And also, I don't know if the Wellfield Protection Ordinance for the fracking issue, because that could happen somewhere else and travel down throughout the groundwater traveling to make sure that we're protected in that realm too.
Yeah, fracking is a whole different issue, but we can try to see what
But I
we
think
can
it
integrate
might
into it.
integrate into this, and I just want to make sure that staff is open to that, and, you know.
Staff is open. We need to look at what the legislature is doing with that because it does create some issues, but it's doable.
Thank you very much.
It may be doable.
Right.
No
Okay,
promises.
so would you make a motion to instruct staff to begin working on a new ordinance?
Yes, I will make that
Okay.
motion.
And is there a second?
Second.
There's a second. Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Mayor Nelson.
Aye.
Councilman Simmons.
Aye.
Councilman Gibson.
Aye.
Councilman Longcart.
Aye.
Councilman McIntosh.
Aye.
Councilwoman Martin.
Aye.
Councilman
Aye.
Slackman.
Okay, carry on.
I hate this subject. I apologize. I just want to make sure I got it right, and I have the sign code as I made the changes. The changes I went based on, as I understood Councilmember Gibson's motion that was approved by council. It was to remove the primary and secondary issues. I took that out. I did conservatively look at the language. I didn't take everything out. The changes that I did make on the January 13th hearing is on the second page of the green sheet. If I deleted a section, I didn't want to show it with deletions because it's hard to read. I put it in a box. And then you can see I changed like additional color instead of primary color. So I kept that the consistent background would be the same. I think that's what council wanted. If it's not what council wanted, I need to know, and I can file a corrected copy. And then if you do want primary, secondary, we can reconsider it. Up to you.
Council, is that your understanding of
It
what it was?
looks correct to me.
Looks all right to everybody? Is everybody good? Good? Okay. Good.
Yay.
Carry on.
That concludes my items.
All right, thank you very much. City manager's report. What was I going to say there? I'm not going to tell you.
Boo boo.
Report. Sorry. I was talking Scooby-Doo language. Yeah, I was actually.
I just have a couple items today, Mr. Mayor. First off, review the financial report we have submitted to you today. Any questions you might have? Be gentle with
Nope.
me.
There you
Be
go.
gentle with me. Okay, great. The second item has to do with direction regarding West Terry street improvements with regards to planning for better opportunities for biking and safe pedestrian passage. And with that, I'd like to bring the Public Works Director, Matt Feeney, back up to chat about that topic.
Hey, Matt.
Morning, Matt Feeney for the record, Public Works Director. Really what we're looking for here is some direction in working with the right construction design build team. The footprint of the project runs from Terry Street south down to Oak Creek. And so a lot of time in these early days as we're preparing for the workshop on the 28th has been focused on what to do with the Terry Street intersection in terms of improving safety and traffic flow that's conducive with the downtown redevelopment project. Out of those discussions, a lot has come to light about the intersection in terms of its history as a difficult area for both traffic and pedestrian collisions. And one of the suggestions that you'll see in the downtown redevelopment project is for a roundabout to go into that location. On the heels of that, we've been looking at Terry Street with the city for improvements both on West Terry and East Terry for bicycle and pedestrian connectivity. So it seemed logical that if, in the context of the downtown improvement project, we're going to be evaluating that intersection and possibly doing some radical improvements to it, that any further study, at least of West Terry Street, so west to the school, should probably be contiguous with the downtown improvement project. That way the designers can look at that intersection not in a vacuum, but also in a whole for pedestrian and bicycle connectivity to the west. Previously, the city has looked at that corridor, actually has gone to 100% plans with Stanley Consultants some time ago, but then backed away from pursuing that project in full, instead choosing to do some pieces of it. And those plans are not 100% conducive to the multimodal goals that this council has established. So what we're asking for is some guidance. There are a few ways that we can do this. We can hire one of our pre-selected engineering firms to evaluate the corridor, but really in the context of the downtown improvement project and its focus to that intersection, what staff is asking council consider is to approach Wright Construction and see if they would be interested and capable of continuing on West Terry at least for pedestrian and bicycle improvements, because we really feel that ties into that intersection, and the ability to look at that as a whole will end up with a better product for the city. For East Terry Street, we are recommending that we just hire one of our pre-selected firms. I think there's some very simple solutions that we can do to improve sidewalk connectivity over to Marnie Fields, so that we can improve that corridor from Imperial to basically to the foot of the overpass at I-75 on East Terry Street.
Okay. All right, Janet, go ahead.
Thank you. I think that you're right. I think the Bicycle Safety Committee had made the recommendation to council a time back that they thought that this should all be looked at holistically. So I think that taking it a step further and tying it into what's going to happen on Old 41 is a good idea. I support that 100%. Having said that, having been in the debrief this week with Stephen Clark from the Bicycle Friendly Coalition, and Mike did the ride with them. It was awesome. Some of the recommendations that they made, I hope will be factored into this, that, we've got an awful huge segment of our residents that are street riders coming out of Bonita Bay, and they're using West Terry to get to Imperial so that they can do their miles. So we really need to be cognizant that no matter what we do, they're not going to use a shared sidewalk. Those are street riders, and I want to see that gets addressed. And so that will be all part of that, hopefully. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else?
Sounds like a plan to me. Works
Okay.
good.
And so your suggestion is, what would be the, and this is going to be something sizable. This would be a sizable change order for Wright Construction. And I think it is, personally, I think it is correct to have Wright. I was going to say right to have Wright, but correct to have them do this. I think it really should be blended in like that. But so far as the extent, how far down Terry Street are talking? You're talking to the middle school down West Terry? That's the extent of it?
Yes, sir. And you're absolutely right. And I probably didn't touch on that well enough in this. This is a sizable proposal here. The idea is to approach Wright and define the street rider needs, obviously with the railroad track intersection, to make that more appealing and more functional in terms of getting the pedestrian traffic separated through pedestrian bridges on both sides, hopefully, of the railroad track. So the idea would be to approach them and define those needs, and then work with them on what an estimated pricing would be. But it will be sizable.
But I would agree that the
then
main,
come back
I think
to
everybody
council
would
for
agree that the main section that we should concentrate is that section between Bonita, or from the beginning of Bonita Middle School, not beginning, but the
Edgewood.
west side of Bonita Middle,
Yes.
all the way through the intersection there.
Yes.
And then that's the real problem area. And it's not going to be simple, and it's going to be really expensive, but it needs done.
It
But
needs
I
to be
think we
done,
would all
yes.
agree, right?
Yeah, and
Yes,
I was
Mike.
told that we could use CDBG money in that area now too, so that might help offset some of the extra costs.
I would agree. We're going to have to use every trick in the book on this, and I would suggest the MPO in the state has money available for schools, and we need to, as soon as possible, make application for that next grant period. I think Bonita Elementary School just received, what was it, a couple $100,000 for sidewalk improvements for that. There's a school safety walk to school program. Safe Routes to School program. We need to avail ourselves of that as soon as possible. But I don't know what the parameters are. But part of this needs to be a search for funding, like you said, every creative thing we can do. But yes, Carl.
And I just wanted to clarify too that in the talk of the funding is certainly appropriate here, because this will not be part of the old 41 funding that we have.
Right.
This will be an add-on to Wright's contract, but the funding will have to come from somewhere else, other than that old 41 funding.
Okay. So clarifying the motion.
The motion would be then to add this into the scope of work for Wright Construction to look at the segment of West Terry from Old 41 to Edgewood by the middle school.
So, but to clarify further, would you just allow staff to negotiate that
Absolutely.
at this time, and you will end up bringing that back, the agreement back for our approval? Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Amended.
And then for east of Terry Street, you would suggest that staff go ahead
They,
and use the
One of the
pool
5 pre-selected
Right.
engineering
to do
firms.
that. Okay, would you make that
As
part of it?
amended.
Is there a second?
Second.
Yes, Peter.
Just further discussion. I just wanted to make sure, I do apologize for being tardy. Hopefully whatever happened, they're okay in that car accident, so sorry for being tardy. Just thinking here, and to me it's logical to think this way, but maybe not for anybody else. I agree with this wholeheartedly. Now we're looking at putting a roundabout in there, but we don't know yet, right, if that's going to be able to happen. So you see what I'm saying here? I just want to make sure before we tell Wright Construction that we also know or have a sense about that roundabout.
Well, first off, Wright Construction is recommending a roundabout at 41 and Terry. They are recommending that. As we have been able to discuss with, I hope, most of you, is that there's property issues there. We'll have to be able to gain some property from some of the corner lots, but doesn't put anybody out of business. I want to be very clear about that. But yes, there is a roundabout plan for that, and that is Wright's recommendation there and at Pennsylvania.
Right.
Those two.
Right. And I'm just, I guess, taking it one step further. If the property owners are not agreeable, then we, kind of need to, that's going to change what we do there, correct?
Well, either that or it's going to change the way that you acquire the property.
Yes. we still have options beyond not being able to
Understood,
do
understood.
arm's length, but that
Hopefully-
arm's length is
hopefully not
certainly our
needing to go there.
objective. Yes.
Okay, so we have a motion. Do we have a second on that?
We had a few of them.
We have a couple.
A third.
It's always nice to get more than 1 second. Okay, any other discussion before we move along? Everybody understand? Roll call, please.
Councilman Simmons?
Aye.
Councilman Gibson?
Aye.
Councilman Longcor?
Aye.
Councilman McIntosh? Councilwoman Martin?
Aye.
Councilman Slack?
Aye.
Mayor Nelson?
Aye. All right, thank you, Council. That's awesome.
And I just
Stuff.
have one more item on my agenda today, and that is that I'd be remiss if I didn't mention something about our Wounded Warrior Weekend we just came out of, and what great partners we had in the Rotary Club, as well as the Veterans Advisory Committee, all our volunteers to make that happen, a variety of them, and of course our great staff, Laura and Joanne and her entire team, making this happen as part of a team, and we appreciate it. It was a great event, very moving, but we're glad it's here in Bonita Springs, and it was a success. So thank you to everybody.
All right.
That's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Very good. Okay, for council member items, let's go ahead and start with Bill. Bill, what do you got for us
How did
today?
I know that you were going to do that? I just.
No, I don't know.
Good morning, everybody. Just one comment, and it's on the financial report, Carl. Yes, sir. I want to compliment the financial staff because this is really clear, and even a layperson could look at it and find sensible conclusions based on the way it's been done. But that's the only comment I have this morning.
All right, thank you very much. And we're going to switch all over the place. Steve, what do you got?
Just thank you to the staff and Veterans Committee for the Wounded Warriors Weekend. Secondly, this Friday is the charter school, middle school government day. So for those of you who can be here, we'd appreciate it. We have everything set up. Had prep day with them yesterday morning, and we're all set to go. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
All right, thank you very much. Mike, what do you got for us today?
Really just, there's been a lot of talk about the high school. I haven't heard anybody that's against having a high school. Some of us just may have strong feelings about not having it in the DRGR. But I'm kind of happy. I've recently heard that there may be a prospect on Imperial Parkway that looks very appealing to me. So I just hope that everybody that's considering the high school looks at that property also, and hopefully something can work out.
Very cool. Thanks, Mike. Janet, what do you have for us?
Dog Park open Saturday. I'm so excited about that. From 10 to 2. It's the whole community is a buzz about it, or barking about it, or whatever. They are just really excited about it. Me too. It's an awesome addition to our whole community. Something to put on your calendars would be Saturday, February 21st, because it'll be here before we know it, and that's for Riverside Park, is the Tropical Fruit Tree Club sale, and also the city's tree committee's Arbor Day event. And that is from 9 to 2. And, we've got a lot of good stuff planned for that day. But I want to just comment again. I brought it up that we had bike specialist Steve Clark. He's been all over Lee County, riding our streets and making recommendations. And I compliment Councilman Gibson for getting out there on the bike and also supplying bikes for our group. We had members of community development that took the ride, and we also had members of the Bicycle Safety Committee that were part of that. And I was there for the debriefing, and one of the things that he brought up that we could do and we're lacking in doing in our community is raising awareness that bicycles are allowed on the roads. As they heard on the ride, people yelled at them, "Get on the sidewalk." So he said one of the easiest things that a city can do is stenciling. And there are nationally accepted stencils that can be put on the road that show a bicyclist, and we need to get on board and start getting it out there, because if a driver sees that on the road, it kind of makes them aware, we hope, that you get to share the road with a bicyclist. So I would like to ask council support to tell staff that we need to really initiate and rev up that program, that we get that stenciling out there. The bicycle committee is taking their marching orders from Mr. Clark, and also it's raising awareness and education, and they're going to work on those programs for us also.
Okay, thank you very much. What do you got for us, Peter?
I want to thank Matt Feeney for working with me with the Bonita Springs Charter School. They had some concerns there about a sidewalk, and that was handled, Matt, very, very nicely. And anything at all that we need to do at this point, please let me know. But thank you very much. You've made a lot of people very happy over there. Good work, buddy, for sure. In the process here, going over to see the Wonder Gardens and seeing what might be on tap there in the future. And I would recommend everybody to keep the letters coming and expressing your opinions about the high school. I think everybody up here wants a high school. There's no two ways about that. But I think everybody up here might have a different opinion on where it needs to be. It's a school board decision. My understanding is it won't be a total public financed high school. There's maybe some funding issues there, so there may need to be a private segment. I'm hearing a private-public partnership. So that might be an interesting twist that will allow some other people to have a say in it that otherwise maybe wouldn't normally. So appreciate that. And we've got a lot of things coming down the pike here. Audrey, thinking back to our discussion yesterday, what's the stat? I know Joe had retired. What's our status of our legal team here at the moment?
You're looking at it.
The current status.
Sorry.
I hope to introduce somebody to you in the near future.
Okay, I'm just thinking with everything that's coming, if, you know, we've
need
looked,
help.
yes, you do, and I didn't know if, you know,
I've got
for
some
anything that
absolutely
might be
wonderful
coming up,
candidates,
if
and
we.
I just want to make sure everything's perfect.
Right, and if we need to look at some temporary or some outside or what have you.
Use some outside during this time.
You could use some.
No, I have been using
Okay.
outside during this time.
You're calling in a pinch hitter every once in a while, right?
Okay, and look forward to the workshop tomorrow.
We'll be back here again, right? Maybe,
well-
maybe we should make that an official announcement. What do we got to look forward to tomorrow, Carl? What time and what is it?
We have a workshop on the recommendations from the Citizens Water Task Force that was appointed by council a year ago.
Right.
There's 34 recommendations, and the council will be holding a workshop tomorrow right here in council chambers from 9 to 12.
And we will be receiving public comment?
Yes, we will.
Okay. Want to make that clear for
and
everyone.
The meeting next week.
What?
The meeting next week, Wednesday. Downtown.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Matt?
Talk into the microphone
I'm
a little
sorry.
more.
The
Go ahead.
meeting
What?
for next week. At Community Hall, the 28th. Please, we need to have as many members
Yeah,
of the
right.
community out there, please.
So I gather there's
Yeah.
another meeting you'd like to tell us about.
I tried to plug it earlier, but I guess I didn't. The 30% plan public input workshop is scheduled at Community Hall.
For what?
For the downtown improvement project. For the entire corridor of Old 41 from Terry Street to the Oak Creek Bridge or Tennessee Street. So we're looking for public input. It's at 4 o'clock to 7 o'clock at night. Community Hall on the 28th.
Now, to make it clear, not that anybody would do this, but you're not looking for council's input, are you? You're looking for public input, aren't you?
We're looking for any input we can get.
Be careful because you might get it. I mean, I'm going to stress this a little bit more. Council, really, this should be the public's forum. We're going to have our chance, but we really need to let people really get in there and mix it up, the general public. I mean, wouldn't you agree?
So we shall not attend.
Yep, that's why I'm trying to
Yeah.
tell
I mean, one thing to come there and watch and observe and stuff like that, but as far as participation, you probably want to let that flow on its own. I would think, wouldn't you all?
We should be there.
There
to
would be
listen.
sunshine issues if you were discussing the issue,
Right.
obviously, together. If we do need to know if there is going to be more than,
Yeah.
if you are attending to the
As
certain property
vested as a lot of us are in the area, as much as we are part of the public and stuff like that, it makes it a little awkward if we all start chiming in a public meeting. But go ahead.
But we can be there and listen.
can be there to
Absolutely.
listen.
Fly on the wall
Absolutely. It would probably be good. Anyway, thank you very much. yes, Pete, go ahead.
No, that's fine. Just before you jumped over there, just
Yeah,
on,
sorry.
I guess on two personal, one somber note and one kind of halfway somber, funny note. We had a wonderful trip in Europe, I think, as a few of you know, and but for 7 days, we left Paris on December 31st, and but for 7/10 of 1 mile, things could have been interesting for the Simmons family. We were in the Republique section of Paris, and that unfortunate tragedy happened, and I wasn't even thinking about it, but a friend of ours said, well, geez, that's right near where you stayed. And so, hey, kiss your loved ones and count your blessings, because sometimes you just never know. And congratulations to the New England Patriots, and there again on a somber note. Put some air in the footballs. That's it.
I'm not sure any amount of air could have helped them, the calls, but yeah. But let's let's go ahead and go through it, and we'll catch up. Go ahead, Stephen. Go ahead.
Yeah, Carl, I want to echo the words you said about the Wounded Warriors amputee game. Working with Laura and Joanne for at so many events, I've never seen things go so smoothly as whenever they're involved. Everything goes smoothly. Our community policing unit, our firefighters, I mean, putting that big flag out in center field, wow, that was awesome. I remember the words exactly. From the American Legion Southwestern Area Commander, he said, Stephen, I have been to so many activities, and this city functions as a team, and that is so true. So somebody's recognizing that. And that's it.
Thank you very much. Janet, do you have something else for us?
I do, and I'm sorry I was remiss that since I'm liaison to the Art and Public Places Board, I just wanted to let you know that the staff, along with students from Bonita Middle School, are going to be working on a mural on the Cafe Alive building.
Excellent, excellent. And Steve, did you have something else?
I did. I'd forgotten that's a council discussion. I had a conversation with the president of League of Cities, who suggested that we needed to have a representative on the League of Cities, so I think we should probably do that. I thought, do we not?
All right. Is there anyone who would like to attend those meetings, or what are they, once a month or something like that? I think.
Sir, I don't have the information in front of me, but I thought council had appointed somebody.
Well, I don't know, but
Actually, I think it's one of these two.
Were you
right
saying
here.
that?
Yeah.
Who was it?
Either
That was
Councilmember Simmons or Gibson, one of the two.
It was Gibson. I let the rookie take it from the rookie.
Oh well, I think were they looking? They were wanting some representation there.
Yeah, they said it'd be. They wanted Bonita Springs represented. Well,
Diane Lynn would know that, wouldn't she?
Oh.
Yeah, we've got the list upstairs.
We definitely
can get it to
we've
you.
got to have somebody at League of Cities.
Okay, here's what could you do this? Could you just work with the council and find somebody who can go to the meetings? And I mean, that's the requisite for being the representative there. And you know what? Sometimes you can't make those meetings, and that's okay. I mean, as long as you hand it off to another council person, that would be great. So, if you'd go ahead and find someone, and then you can give them the information to who to notify. All right. Okay. I just got a couple of things. First of all, I have to thank our governor and the cabinet for following through and doing what they said they were going to do when it came to the land acquisition there. It was not a small amount. That $9 million for that acquisition of that property was a really important acquisition, a great addition to the Corkscrew Regional Ecosystem and Watershed. Very important, made a lot of people really happy, including all of us there at the Crew Trust, and should be for us in Bonita Springs. Very important for flood control, for water quality, for our environment in every other way. So well done on their part. Very cool. Also, I want to thank staff for working with me on this town hall meetings. It was a great experience. The last one we had great conversations happened during there, and it's a great help for me when it comes to helping me to formulate my own opinions and my own policies about what the people are doing out there. And it really does. It helps you to adjust your frame of mind, and it keeps you from going down some other road that you don't need to. So I really appreciate that. Those will be on the internet and available for people who would like to see it. And let's see. The one thing that I was striving to do there at those town hall meetings was to engage people and get them to talk about uncomfortable things. In our political lives, sometimes we have a habit of not wanting to talk about those things. Nobody likes to talk about uncomfortable things. Nobody likes conflict. Guess what we do? We avoid that. We do everything we can to avoid that. My specific purpose was to use that as an opportunity to cause people to talk about it. I wasn't looking for a particular solution. I just wanted to get them to talk about it. And we got some great conversation there, and I think we got a lot of good press on a lot of issues that, regardless of what the future councils decide to do, you'll at least know that they're out there and that there are some issues that you do need to make some decisions in the future. So that was the whole part of it, and I think it
One
worked.
last thing.
Yes.
I'm very sorry. I don't mean to.
Go ahead.
Thank you, but I want to thank Representative Rodriguez and our local delegation, because at the delegation meeting, he made clear and certain that the people who annexed in voluntarily to the city of Bonita Springs were going to be allowed to be in the city of Bonita Springs. And there had been some question about that. To thank you to our delegation for voting unanimously to agree that anyone who had proposed to be annexed in before April 1st, the deadline, and was contiguous and legally available to do that, would do so. So thank you to our delegation, particularly Representative Rodriguez. Thank you.
Yeah, and I want to thank you for bringing that up. I wanted to mention that too, that I wanted to thank our staff and Representative Rodriguez. We've been spending a lot of phone calls together trying to piece together what exactly would actually make that happen and make it work. We've had some very frank phone calls there, and in the end, it really came together. So I'm very optimistic that that everybody is satisfied with the legislation as it is, and then it's going to do exactly what the people that ask us to do. It's going to do that. So thank you for all your help and support on that, and thank you to, again, Representative Rodriguez for his hard work there. He did what he said he was going to do.
That's exactly
good
right.
for him. It's always good to know people that will do that. That's pretty cool. Anyway, that's all I have. Anybody got anything else before we go to public comment?
Approval of minutes?
We have a motion to approve the minutes. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilman Longcart?
Aye.
Councilman McIntosh?
Aye.
Councilwoman Martin?
Aye.
Councilman Slackton?
Aye.
Mayor Nelson?
Aye.
Councilman Simmons?
Aye.
Councilman Gibson?
Aye.
Okay, and public comment. Anyone wishing to speak at this time, please come forward.
Hey, here's our presentation.
Would you like? Do you have a presentation to give us or no?
No.
Okay.
I
All right.
don't think
Well,
so. I
then,
do want to apologize for being late. I did see the roads out
That's all right.
there. It
Were
is
you
a
in
little
that?
busy.
What
Well,
was
we've
it?
had since 6:30. We've had 4 or 5 accidents. We had one on the interstate, one at Dean Street and Imperial. So it's been one of those things. And right on the way here, we had a car fire on Imperial and Dean Street. So it's been one of those mornings. So I do apologize for being late. I do want
none of those had Nelson written on
no,
the side.
not Matt Nelson or anything.
Okay.
like
Okay.
that,
Good.
so.
Not that I'm here.
What time do you leave for the
You're
meeting
safe.
there,
You're
Steve?
safe.
6 o'clock? How'd you avoid all that traffic? I'm just curious. What time did you head for City Hall? 6 a.m.?
He was here early.
I slept.
Oh, he sleeps
I
here.
slept right back there.
How'd you avoid it? You're a magician.
It was bad. I know that actually the chief was even late, and he lives in Hawthorne. He said it was backed up on Imperial Street because of I-75. It was backed up past Hawthorne on Imperial Parkway. So, so the north-south thoroughfare of Imperial Parkway is working, doing its job. So that is a good note. But I do want to thank everybody for this weekend, especially Corporal Bobby Hunter and the advisory, the Veterans Advisory. Beautiful weekend. The Sheriff's Office did beat us in a softball game at 10 o'clock. And for those of you who did come back to our Station 1 and have lunch with us, we do appreciate that. It was we loved opening our doors to the city and to the Sheriff's Office and city employees. We want to make this a yearly event. If nothing more, if the Wounded Warriors don't come back, we at least want to play to either the city or the community policing or the Lee
That'd be
County
cool.
Sheriff's Office.
Awesome.
So I do want to thank you for that. And on another note, I do want to thank the city and Matt Feeney. We were involved last Monday with Wright Construction with the whole downtown, I don't want to call it redevelopment, but the downtown street. And we're very excited about it. So anything we can do, we are pledging our help, our prevention staff, our staff, whatever we need to do to help this go forward. I know we got a 30% meeting next Wednesday. I know I'm going to attend as both the fire liaison and as a citizen. So thank you guys very much, and thanks a lot.
Thank you. Thank you, Greg. Thank you for your service. Next speaker, please.
Deborah McLean, publisher of the Banana Peel. Just quickly on traffic. I too have been caught in traffic, and I have a different disposition than some. I say, thank God they're here. I don't really mind this. What new stores are around? Oh, look, I'm pulling off the road. Isn't that what we want? We don't want them to go from point A to point B and create a dead corridor, which is what New 41 is right now. So with regard to traffic, when you get stuck, you should have left earlier.
Yes.
And it's too bad, but thank God they're here, and thank God we're slowed down. All right. With regard to the high school, I was interviewed by the news press, and it was printed, and it reminded me, the entire article reminded me of the homeless shelter, when the people got up and said, oh, look at what we're going to do. Very emotional. This is about the facts and money. The high school will cost too much to build in the wetlands. There's no roads. It needs to be moved to a more central location. We now have identified Imperial Parkway. I myself knew but did not want to publicize where they might be because of cost factors. You know, landowners are normal. The prices get firm or up. So there are 3 sites, by the way. And with regard to any density, the city is under no obligation to grant any density, and even for Old 41, New 41, or Bonita Beach Road. It has to meet new criteria, not the old criteria. And that means, do we have enough water? Will it impact the existing residents? Those things are important. And although I didn't understand totally when Cecil Pendergrass told me when they got rid of the impact fees that perhaps in the long run it would slow down or stop 951, it's now beginning to look like 951 will not have the money. So we have time to plan to stop it. Now, do I want the impact fees at Lee County level? Yes, because I think it was a mistake. But that is the one good thing that happened. They can't fund 951. So that's it for now. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else this time? Please come forward.
Yes, Alex Grant. What I've done here, and I'm going to give you each one of these, this was for the total cost of Fire Station number 4 on Bonita Grand. Now, why I am giving you this, because if you're going to put a high school on the DRGR area on Bonita Grand, which is actually closer to the Imperial River watershed than the present fire station, you can imagine what the cost would be to do that. So I have the cost for the fire station number 4, the entire, what it will be by the year 2023 when we pay off the mortgage for that fire station. So that includes the whole total cost that was budgeted. You'll see what was audited. I took all the budgets for that fire station from 2001 to 2007, the final budgets. I did all the audits, and so all these figures are taken from the final budgets of the fire station and all the audits for the fire department at that period of time, and all these are the calculations. So that's for you guys, and you can see just how much that fire station is actually costing, the construction cost. That's the construction cost of that fire station to all the taxpayers of Bonita Springs.
Thank you very much. Anyone else this time? Please come forward. And could you give that to Debbie will hand those out for you. Or Audrey, or there you go.
Yes.
Go ahead. Hi.
Hello,
Hello.
Kathy McGrath. I'd like to, excuse me, close the meeting maybe on happy notes. I have to bring up also a wonderful weekend with the Amputee Wounded Warriors. As a member of the Special Events Committee, I was there along with Terry Moore and, of course, Bobby Bird, but Bobby was there with Rotary. You know, I think whoever created the word multitasker was thinking of Bobby Bird because she's part of everything.
Thank you.
The concert Friday night was awesome. And I not only have to thank Rotary, but we have a wonderful friend here in Bonita, and we all know him as Bob Gillette. He is so generous and so gracious. The concert was great, great bands, a lot of people showed up. It was just great. But the games on Saturday night, I missed them last year. I helped with the Vietnam Wall, but I didn't attend the games last year. But it's so inspiring to see those guys, really. Great group of people were there. The games were fun. I mean, I just can't say enough about it. And if you missed them, well, there's always next year. And there'll be time to remind you, I know Janet mentioned the 21st, the tropical tree fruit thing. Well, there's also movies in the park that night, and I'm sure at the beginning of next month we'll remind you about that too. And then the 28th, you know, that's going to creep up on us. Keep the Beautiful in Bonita, our annual cleanup. So put that on your calendar. And thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Anyone else this time? Okay, everyone, thank you very much. It was an honor to be a part of the Wounded Warriors thing. It was an honor to throw the ball out. And I want to thank Officer Prez out there for when we went to throw the ball out, he decided to do it from 10 feet away. Thank you so much. I look like a pro throwing that ball 10 feet. Anybody would. So, but especially with my back the way it's been. But no, that was a wonderful thing. It was great for everybody involved. It was a real honor. And council, thank you so much for coming out and being supportive of a high school. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Regardless of your views on location or whatever it is, for you to keep your eye on the prize on this is really important. And by keeping your eye on the prize, it is so important, I'm convinced, and I think you would agree, for us to have our high school. If we lose it, it's our own fault. So thank you for keeping your eye on the prize. Any idea in the world that'll work, great. Let's do that. That'll work for the community, that'll work for everybody, but let's not lose it. Thank you so much. And I know that between the people up here and our staff, we can make this happen. So thank you so much, and this meeting is adjourned.